politics in Compton kind of controls, I guess, just the head of everything. So anything that you hear about Compton, it usually starts from the head, which is, in City Hall is where it all begins, as far as my opinion goes. But now it's time for to come out for me. And so we've been just trying to push that issue and get people to come out and get more engaged in that. And then, I feel like a lot of people did come out, a lot more in my district did come out to vote. However, right after the election, actually like maybe 2 days before the final count came in, a whistleblower came up, came forth, and she said that, she had registered and voted illegally. She was working with Jace Dawson and Isaac Galvan. She was working with Isaac Galvan's campaign. At that point, they had her working for a week and they hadn't paid her as promised. So she was a little pissed about it. And she called to let us know that she broke the law, registered and voted illegally. And she knew at least 20 other people that did it.
Let's embark on the Ark Republic to hear current news that's published. More than gossip and chatter, covering current affairs that matter. We talk issues with professional views, all keeping you in queue. We wanted a higher vibe for these days and times, to free the voices and minds, reporting the sign of the times, so all can build, let's shine, yeah.
What up, wherever you are in the universe? My name is Kaya Nyambi Shivers. Welcome to Ark Republic News. My talk today is with my contributor, who will be my guest host, Dame Crawford of Uncouth Radio. What up, Dame?
What up? How you doing?
I'm good. And we are speaking to Andre Spicer, AKA Hub City Dre, who ran for council member office in Compton, District 2. Well, in his bid for the seat, there were a turn of very interesting things that happened that he's going to detail us about that has had further ramifications. I thought it was really important that our listeners understand the politics in Los Angeles and how deep they go. So what is up, Mr. Spicer?
Well, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate just a platform where I can actually kind of like tell my story and tell what's been going on. We've been trying to spread the word for some years about local politics for some time now with my platform. So I'd love to get into this whole issue, man. The question that stands is what's going on? What's happening?
What's going on?
Yeah,
what's happening?
What's going on?
Hold on. Let me warm them up before we get fire red hot. I know you're a community activist. Can you let us know, how did your community activism turn into electoral politics? What was that like?
Okay, well, I started a radio station a few years back, maybe about 12 years ago. It's called the Hub Radio, and we kind of just focused on just Compton issues, and not just Compton issues. It was Compton. It's entertainment, it's economics, and politics. But as I continue to do, the radio station and do more community, advocacy, I was realizing how much politics had an impact on our day-to-day life in the streets. And politics in Compton kind of controls, I guess, just the head of everything. So anything that you hear about Compton, it usually starts from the head, which is, in City Hall is where it all begins, as far as my opinion goes. Just looking at how certain things over time, if we look at stuff like the crack law, right? How, we notice the crack law kind of targeted minority, Black and brown minorities, where, cocaine, you would get maybe like 3 months, where in crack, you would get 3 years. But then when that law changed, you would see Black and brown people start to get released from jail, and just different things like that. This is all politics. This is all policies and legislative work and all these different things. I'm realizing how much of that affects me and my people. All right. And then I start looking at the demographics of Compton. There's 100,000 people in Compton. There's 45,000 registered voters in Compton. So that means there's about roughly 55,000 people that are not registered to vote. However, out of the 45,000, only 7,000 of those voters are active.
Wow.
So we're talking about 7% of the community that actually votes for the whole community. Now, to go even further into that stat, of that 7% that makes that decision, more than 65% of those people are over 65 years old. So the majority of our votes are done by seniors, but the average age in Compton is 25 years old. So although that's significantly younger than I am, that demographic of people I speak to. So when I'm, I already have that demographic. I have that audience already. I have that platform already for that audience. So now it's just transitioning them from entertainment, economics, policies, and just trying to transition them into local politics. Letting them know how important it was for them to actually vote, to come out. That their vote actually mattered. That a vote for your mayor and your councilman goes a lot further for your community than voting for the president of the United States. So we were getting that message out, and we've been doing that for the last 4 years. And over that time, numbers have started to increase for voter turnout in the city of Compton. So now it comes down to me running for the city of Compton and in my seat. And I felt like, I was able to encourage young people to vote for Michelle or Chambers in District 1, or vote for Emma Sharif when she ran for District 4. So we're getting more, young people out to vote for that. But now it's time to come out for me. And so we've been just trying to push that issue and get people to come out and get more engaged in that. And then, I feel like a lot of people did come out, a lot more in my district did come out to vote. Typically speaking, roughly about 1,000 people come out to vote in my district. This time, 1,700 people came out to vote. So, I like to think that we helped to increase the number of people that came out to participate. However, we came across an issue where
and I just did some very quick and dirty research. You only lost by 1 vote, right?
Right. So yeah,
that was crazy. Like I looked at that. I said, "Oh, there's something going on. There's something going on."
Definitely not too often where that happens, man. And then being that the incumbent was not liked at all. Like, nobody in the district really cares for the incumbent like that. And that I've done more work as a community activist and businessman in my community than anybody that's sitting on the council now or has sat on the council, in recent years. So I felt like it shouldn't have been that close of a race. It should have been a landslide. But then I did lose by 1 vote, which was, suspicious. A lot of suspicious activity had happened around that time. A lot of people talked about him cheating and the different ways that he could cheat. My thought was, in order to cheat me, you're gonna have to cheat with some bigger numbers than 20 or 30 votes. You're gonna have to bring in a couple hundred. And I felt like that's what happened.
Mr. Spicer and Mr. Spicer also goes by the name of Hub City Dre. People don't know Hub City was a nickname for Compton because it used to produce tires, right?
No, the Hub City, by definition, the hub is a center of activity.
Got you.
Compton's in the center of everything. We're in the center of all the freeways, the 91, the 110, the 105, the 710. It's in between all the cities. It's connected to Carson, Linwood, Lake, Long Beach, Watts. All these are like right next door. So technically, we're the center of activity in our section. So that's why they call it the Hub City.
Okay. So let's get to what is going on now. I know the elections were a couple of months ago, but what happened and where are we now? Because a trial just ended. So tell us your story and give us the details. We're going to be asking questions in between. And so I think this is very important because you're young, you're a Black man, you're activated, and we need to know this template and this journey.
Yeah. So what happened was right after the election, actually like maybe 2 days before the final count came in, a whistleblower came up, came forth, and she said that, she had registered and voted illegally. She was working with Jace Dawson and Isaac Galvan. She was working with Isaac Galvan's campaign. At that point, they had her working for a week and they hadn't paid her as promised. So she was a little pissed about it. And she called to let us know that she broke the law, registered and voted illegally. And she knew at least 20 other people that did it. And, so we got her on the phone and we got, a little more detail as to what she meant. And she kind of broke down everything that she was, she broke it all down. And it was consistent with some of the rumors that we had already been hearing. So we started doing more research. And then once we did the recount, we started to pull some of the suspicious addresses or names that of people that voted in the election. So what we did was we pulled everybody that was registered to Jace's apartment. And
Who is
later on,
that? Who is that you're talking about?
Jace Dawson was another candidate that I ran against.
Okay.
He lost pretty bad, but he worked a deal out with Galvan that Galvan would hire.
Who is Galvan?
The incumbent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Isaac Galvan is the incumbent.
Okay.
So let me go back a little bit. So the first election which was in April, 5 people ran for that seat. It was myself, it was Isaac Galvan, Sky Fisher, Alan Hamade, and Jace Dawson. In Compton, you have to win 50% plus 1 vote in order to win. So they took the top 2 vote getters, which was myself and Isaac Galvan. Since neither one of us had 50% plus 1 vote, they put us in a runoff. The runoff goes in June. So then June was the final election, the general election. And after April, when Jace lost in the primaries, he teamed up with Isaac Galvan to help campaign with Isaac Galvan in hopes to get a job as a liaison or something else. Once they made that deal, Isaac Galvan appointed Jace to a taxpayer committee at City Hall in May. So this is immediately following the election, which kind of speaks to them working together. So once that happened, we just started pulling all our research together, pulling all the addresses, everything that we thought was suspicious. We submitted it all to the district attorney's office. The district attorney's office thought that it was good enough to do an investigation. They did an investigation. They arrested him and 5 other people in August for voter fraud and bribery. So now he has a criminal case along with 5 other people. The other 5 other people was Jace Dawson. It was Kimberly Chouch, which is the one that did the whistleblower, the first person they called us. And 3 other people that were Jace Dawson's friends. All were arrested, all charged for voter fraud. 3 of those 5 made plea deals, and they all said they voted and registered illegally, and they would do anything to basically not to get a slap on the wrist. They was willing to work with the investigation.
So they wanted to avoid jail time.
Avoid jail time. They don't want no problems. So my thing though was the criminal case. If he loses the criminal case, the seat becomes vacant, and then the city council gets to appoint whomever they want to appoint. There's no guarantee that they will appoint me. They don't have to. And just because I was probably cheated out of the election or whatever, they're not obligated to appoint me. And I'm not inclined to think that they would appoint me to that position in the event that he was convicted. Furthermore, we don't know when that trial is going to actually happen. It's been delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. I mean, it could be delayed all the way until, the term is up.
So
my thought was.
I have a question. The current council member, Isaac Galvan,
mm-hmm.
Did he get indicted?
He was indicted as well.
He got indicted, and he's facing charges. Others took plea deals. He did not.
Right. Correct.
Okay. All right.
So
okay.
he's still facing criminal charges right now, and his criminal case goes back to court, I believe, April 24th. And so my thing was, so it's been from June to April, right? And in June to April,
June 2021 to April right now, this April or?
Yeah.
Okay.
To this April.
Okay.
And he's able to be in that position and still make decisions as a councilman, even though it's suspected that he cheated. So I talked to a lawyer. My lawyer told me that we can file a civil suit, in which case we're suing him. And in that lawsuit, we can also request that the judge appoints me to District 2 seat. That way, I don't have to rely on the council, the sitting city council, to appoint me. I felt a way about them appointing me because none of them actually live in District 2 or have a vote. It was clear that District 2 already voted for me. So I didn't want to leave it in the hands of anybody else other than the residents that actually have a vote. So that's why we did the civil case. So we were able to expedite the civil case a lot faster than the criminal case was expedited. So which is why we're in the space that we're in now. And then we started the civil case on Monday. So that's how we got.
So the civil case starts on Monday. What was the trial?
No, it started on Monday.
Oh, it started on Monday. Okay, so that's where we are now.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Arc Republic. If you like what you see and you like what you hear, you can actually keep this mothership going. How? You can make a tax-deductible donation in several ways. One, Cash App us at Arc Republic Media. And you can also go on our website, arcrepublic.com/donate. As well, you can also donate to our fiscal sponsor and our sister organization at Black Farmers Index, that is Cash App, or also go onto their website, blackfarmersindex.com. We are two Black women-owned media organizations who share our profits so folk can thrive.
So Isaac Galvan is still technically in office. He's not removed. He still is. Okay, so he's still a voting active council member. I saw, Dame, you sent me the article that Jasmine Connick wrote, and there was an Instagram post, and he's quoting Bad Boy, "We ain't going nowhere. We can't stop because we bad boys for life." I was like, that's bold. That is like really, really bold. Is that the, how do I want to, in Compton, is that kind of like the environment of it? Like, you know what I mean? Like these entrenched, corrupt politicians, everybody knows it, and they're like, and what?
Oh, that's a pretty good question. My answer to that question is,
are you going to give me the politician answer?
No, you know what? I'm gonna give you the real answer. The real answer is this: Compton has a lot of stereotypes, right? And whether you subscribe to the stereotype or not, those stereotypes live in the community, right? So we're looked at based on our stereotypes. And then on other hands, we respond as if we are those stereotypes as well, if that makes sense. So because Compton has this stereotype or this bravado or this attitude, it's easy for some people to play on that because that's already the stereotype. That's already the standard. It's like saying, "Don't mess with me, my nigga, I'm from Compton." Like, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? It's like you just feed into the stereotype. So that's typically what happens. Should it be that way? Absolutely not. I mean, we have a lot of educated, smart people, professional people in the city that just, for whatever reason, haven't put themselves in that position or gone for these particular positions.
Yo, Dre, I'm not gonna lie. I have a persona out here on the East Coast. For years, I said, "Don't let Compton Kaia come out," because when Compton Kaia comes out, I'm not even from Compton, right?
Yeah. Listen. So trust me. I know what you mean. Like that energy lives. That you go anywhere, and it's like when you say Compton, you already know what time it is, or at least in your mind and your perception, you already know what it is. And so he definitely plays on that. And of course there's a lot of people in Compton that plays on that. But it doesn't have to be the environment. It doesn't have to be the energy. It doesn't have to be the community that we live in. And we should demand for more. And let me just add to it. I mean, he is a bad boy. It's the truth. His house is raided in November 2020 for on marijuana charges. He has DUI cases. He was at a city council. He was at a city event and got drunk at Ruth Chris and got in a fight and got knocked out at a restaurant. All this is documented. So the truth is, yeah, he is a bad boy. So it's so many different things that you can kind of point out. He's getting sued for $20,000 for, for some money he ran off with, from another company. So he has a lot of different issues going on. So, it speaks to his personality, his attitude, and yeah, I don't know what else I can say about that.
Yeah, he's like a character, honestly. He's like a villain. I don't know if he's a bad boy if he's getting knocked out. I don't know about that, but this is this is interesting. Dame, you have anything to add?
I just want to ask because like you said, there's this whole persona, and I know I've been following some of the ins and outs. What I've just seen on the surface of basically there's kind of like two factions in Compton in regards to city council, and like this side is behind Galvan and his people, and this side is behind this crew and her people. I don't want you to get in all that right now, but I just want you to know that we kind of see that it's boiling over to where your everyday regular people are starting to know and see what's going on with this craziness that's going on, in the Compton city. Like it's like legit like rap beef. And
yeah,
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Inside the city chambers.
And unfortunately, a lot of people don't look for actual facts. A lot of people are not looking for, the articles or actual proof and fact. A lot of people just they subscribe to the drama in it.
Yeah. Yeah, they just want to sensationalize it.
Sensationalize it. Whatever sounds the most dramatic, let's talk about that. Let's run with that. And problem is, you're right, Compton is either you with them or you with them, and it's not a Republican Democrat thing in Compton. We all in the same boat. It ain't a black or brown thing. We all go to the same restaurants. We all go to the same grocery stores. We all go to the same gas station. We ride around on these same raggedy ass streets. We're all dealing with the same everything. So when we sit here and act like they got it better than us, or them versus us, or it's ignorance. It's complete ignorance. We all live in this community. We all pay these high ass taxes. What is it that we can do to benefit our community? You don't have to like it. But if I got an idea that's going to help clean up homelessness and you don't, maybe you should subscribe to the idea. You know what I'm saying? But because you feel I'm anti Galvan or anti Zarita or listen, I have a plan. I got a very strategic plan for my community. I got a plan that's gonna help out with homelessness, and when I say homelessness, it's not just people that got drug abuse, drug issues. We know that's a homelessness. But we're talking about people that were recently released from jail, having something to fall back on. We're talking about foster youth that termed out of foster care at 18 and that have no family or nowhere to go. We're talking about families that are one paycheck away from being homeless, that have, just need something to get by. These are all different groups of homelessness that I have plans for. We got plans for economics. We got plans for public safety. You know what I'm saying? Like, we actually have plans. And then when you look to the other side, you ask, well, what's the plan? And there ain't no plan. So what are you supporting when there's not a plan? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the thing that I will be talking to his supporters about. It's been 9 years. What have you got in 9 years? I can tell you what I've done in 2. And it's been more than he's done in 9. I can show you full plans with resources, with people that are ready to hit the ground running, not just me, actual resources. And people know I got it. I show it. You know what I'm saying? And the plans are clear. They laid out. So what is there? It should be a go against that. It's like, hey, if it makes sense, let's line.
So I think that it's important. I mean, I know we jokingly talked about Compton and the culture of Compton, and a lot of what mainstream media has created this, this Compton, thug, and as well as the hip hop that's connected to Compton. But Compton is it has a lot of important political, cultural, and historical histories that we need to acknowledge, and also kind of talk about exactly where we are now, in Hub City. But I never saw. I forgot that there was this movie called, or series on Amazon called Them, that talked about how Compton was predominantly white. I didn't see it, but my newsroom editor talked to me about it. But Compton was, and Watts was predominantly white. Watts was actually where KKK headquarters were, in the early 1900s. But as population shifts and more people begin to move and migrate to the Los Angeles area, Compton becomes then predominantly Black. At one point in time, Compton was where it had the highest concentration of Black professionals in the Los Angeles area. So doctors, lawyers, nurses, principals, you had, people who were high ranking in the police department, and so on and so forth. And so it was also an economic hub and headquarter for the Black Angelino. Subsequently, the dynamics change and shift when white flight happens after the 1965 riots. Nonetheless, there still are people in their 70s and 80s who still carry that legacy of Compton. And I think is the voting block that you're talking about, because they know what Compton was and what it represents. Am I
right?
Okay.
So, okay, now a lot. You said a lot. You said a whole lot, and a lot, and that was all true. Compton has a lot of history. I mean, it is a rich history. We had the first Black mayor this side of Mississippi. We had the first Black police chief. We've had the first Black female mayor. We won the first World's Fair the first 3 years in a row. Compton, by definition, is a suburb. It's not a ghetto. The mentality is ghetto. But what we have airports. We got train tracks. Trains coming through. We got a place for agriculture. We have water wells. We have jails. We have fire departments. We got a school district. We have, we got everything. There's nothing that we don't have. We are self-sustaining. We got our own courthouse. We got our jails. We got our own city council. We have everything. So by definition, we are a suburb. It's just a mentality that had become ghetto over the years. It was predominantly white at one time. I'm actually involved in a documentary in Compton that really kind of talks about the whole history of Compton. So I got so much gain being involved in this documentary about the history of Compton, and it kind of gave me a little bit more pride about my city. But going back to your statement saying that the seniors kind of remember what Compton used to be. But the truth of the matter is, Compton is today, whatever Compton is today, politically, is the fault of the ones that are voting, right? So, and I'm gonna take a shot at both generations, right? If there's a problem with Compton politics, and the majority of people that are voting are 65 plus, then you can argue that that those voters aren't making the best decision for the community. Also, on the flip side, you can say the average age is 25, but the average voter is 65. Where y'all 25-year-old at, and why y'all not engaging? You guys are the reason why we have the lack of whatever we have today as well. Again, it's all about self-accountability. What are we going to do to make the changes that we want to see? So I'm not sure if anybody's holding on to what Compton used to be. I know that there's a group of people that are trying to get Compton back to that. We have a lot of professionals coming out of Compton now. We got a lot of educated people, young people that are ready to step into position. But they have been feeling like their vote doesn't matter. And when you have situations like my situation, it kind of ensures them or reinforces the idea that their vote doesn't matter because of voter fraud, because of just all the different cheating, all the different ways that you can cheat. So How do we get young people to engage when they already felt like their vote didn't matter? And then it's proven on several different levels. So
So
that
I have
ties you
a
back into
well,
why it's so important.
I have a question, Mr. Spicer. Dame and I have talked about extensively, and we're continuing the conversation about gentrification in the LA area, but we have been focusing more on the west side of LA County, Inglewood specifically, and what's going on with the stadiums. But one of the results of gentrification is that, you know, native Black Angelenos are looking for places and pockets in order to live because of being, you know, gentrification encroaching on these communities. And Dame, you know, recently moved to Compton, right? And so I don't know if, Dame, that was your reason for it, but I'm pretty sure that there are people who are coming back or returning to the east side, right? Because Compton's on the east side of the city for economic reasons. And also what we know, this is in a lot of cities. Living in an area where you are not represented is really hard to navigate politically, economically, and culturally. So you're looking for your people. Do you see that this to be the case in Compton, that people are now moving back to Compton because it represents an old Black pocket of the county?
I think that more people are coming back to Compton. I agree with you. Because Compton has been, like, you know, one of those safe spaces for Black and brown people. So they, you know, would want to live here. But then we have other issues as well. So just kind of tapping into gentrification. I'm one to believe that any area worth having is going to be is going to be gentrified. It's going to be gentrified by somebody, right? So like Compton, right? I say it's a suburb, and you know, it's a ghetto mentality, but it's a suburb by definition. Everybody knows it's a suburb. The white people that were here first, they knew it was a suburb too. They knew that we had everything that we needed as well. You know, that those resources never went anywhere. So it was just certain people left. We didn't, how could I say this? The resources have never left. Compton is always going to be a great place to live at. Now, who's going to actually build it up? It's going to be gentrified by somebody. Will it be gentrified by them, or will it be gentrified by us?
And you know, I want to step in real quick, and I want to say something because you know, I was talking to somebody in real estate, and they were saying that, first of all, you're kind of alluding to the point that he made. He's like, yo, gentrification has been turned into this word that kind of means something else. It basically now means, like, you know, white folks are outside,
white people taking over.
But he said that's not. He said what they did was they replaced colonization with gentrification. He said, because when they do that, that's still colonization. They come colonize where Black folks live. He said gentrification could be me living in Compton, planting a garden in my backyard, coming out in the front, refacing my house, you know, doing all the paint job. And if we all in our own neighborhoods, we could gentrify our own neighborhoods. If we came and beautified our own neighborhoods, our property value would go up the exact same way as if someone wealthy moved in and did it. So I just want to make that point.
No, and that was my point. People make it seem like gentrification is a bad thing. Like, you're a property owner. You want gentrification because your property value is going to go up. You know what I'm saying? But there's nothing wrong with gentrification. You want to build your community up. There's nothing wrong with taking down the graffiti off the garage. There's nothing wrong with making sure that we don't have prostitution on Long Beach Boulevard. There's nothing wrong with bringing in more businesses. Like, that's what we want. So gentrification, you're right. It's been demonized, and I'm one to believe that. Like, I want to gentrify Compton. Like, let's be clear. I want to gentrify Compton. I want to bring more businesses here. I want to bring the property value up, even though it's high as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, and let's go there. Let's go there, right? It's not cheap to live in Compton. Go back. It's going back to, again, a scale mentality. Well, we got the resources, and we're gonna tell you what this price tag, because you got to have $500,000 to live in Compton if you want to buy some property in Compton. So you want to build that community up. You don't want to be spending $500,000 and then the community looks raggedy. So I want to change how we look at gentrification and what that actually means. Somebody's going to gentrify it, and it should be you for your own community.
Well, I think
So,
the reason, you know what, I think you guys, I think the reason why gentrification has a negative connotation is because the way it's been applied in general in the United States. And that is, we'll go to a quote unquote poor, disenfranchised community that has cheaper property values, you know, buy lump sums of property, build it up, and then push the people out. And it's done because the people in the community don't have a political stake. They're not voting. This is what we're talking about. They're not voting. They're not present. Perhaps they're not backed by local law enforcement. They don't have access to the resources, or they don't make the decisions on where the resources are meted out. So I would say this is why gentrification has such a negative connotation. But in truth, gentrification comes out of England, when the nobility are losing their money, and you have this new class of merchants and people that are traveling the world using slave money. They begin to buy up the nobility's property who are losing money, and they establish themselves as this new class, but they also change the dynamics of this feudal system. And then they're creating urban metropolises and cities and so on and so forth. Maybe perhaps we just need to come up with a whole different terminology instead of gentrification that is doing exactly what it is that we're talking about, is that staying in our communities, investing in our communities, having access to the resources to develop the communities, actually voting in people who live in the community, who respect it, and are actually going to pass policy that affects positively, you know, our families, our children, and so on and so forth, which is what I see what you are doing and Dame is doing. I would like to know, how do you see this playing out legally, and what are your plans?
okay, so we've done this. This was the last step that we could do, right? It was to file a civil suit and present our evidence, and now it's, you know, it's in the judge's hands. We've done, like, we've been at this for 2 years, almost 2 years now, and it's just been a constant fight. And now we're it's really, you know, we did the civil suit. The judge has 10 days to make a ruling. She can do one of four things. She can, one, do absolutely nothing and say, hey, you guys didn't make a case, Galvan's still the councilman, and better luck next time. She can B, appoint me to the position. She can C, vacate the seat, make the seat vacant, and have an election between Galvan and myself. Or D, she can make the seat vacant and leave the city council to make an appointment or an election. So those are the four options there. We're hopeful that she just appoints me to the position. I like to think that we put up a pretty good argument.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah, I want to ask you just about a little bit more detail about, you know, the proceedings in court, and how do you feel that it went, and what are some of the things that make you feel confident that you guys possibly could win this thing?
Okay, so I'm trying to get through this kind of fast because it could get lengthy because it's court stuff.
Right.
So starting off, we had, I think, 8 people that were registered to Jace Dawson's apartment, which had, you know, we found out was working with Galvan. So 8 people were registered to his apartment. 2 of those people that were registered to his apartment came to court and testified and said that they never lived there, that they had registered and voted illegally out of Jace's apartment. So that was 2 of those 8 that were there that testified to that. The other ones, one had already admitted to which was a whistleblower, Kimberly Child. She had already admitted to it. We were able to use we had a recording of her. So we're able to use that in court where she said that she registered and voted illegally. However, she's homeless and she wasn't able to, we couldn't get in touch with her to actually testify. So we had to use the audio. And she kind of breaks down again, how that whole situation was set up in terms of her working for Galvan and them registering all those people to vote and getting all those illegal votes. So she kind of, detailed that. That was used. We connected Galvan with Jace by this council meeting that happened right after the election, where Galvan tried to appoint Jace to the taxpayers committee, which is a job within the city, following the primary election, which could kind of speak to them, working together and, working together, period. So that came up. The registrar came and they verified a signature for me that of a person that voted, but their vote didn't count because of a signature verification. So that was squared away in court. What else happened that I feel confident about? Another lady came to her house and voted from her house, but it wasn't her, and she doesn't know the person's name. She was a Latino woman, and the person that voted there, I would assume it was a Black name. I mean, of course, I can't say for sure if it was a Black name, but it wasn't a Latino name. And the woman had been there to vote for her from her location. She came and said that, and she also said that Galvan offered her groceries for her to vote for him. So all those things kind of worked in our favor. We had 8 witnesses. They had none. They didn't have any arguments, any points to be made, no accusations. His lawyer, Albert Robles, just wasn't a strong lawyer.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what was Galvan's legal team? What was their major argument?
They didn't have an argument. There was no argument.
They were just saying that it was a false accusations, or what?
They said that we have a false accusation. That's what they were saying. Like, that there was no voter fraud on behalf of Isaac Galvan. But again, with those 8 people in that one apartment, with the lady saying that, he had tried to get her to vote for him with some groceries, and that they had somebody else registered to her house after she declined them. Let's see. Oh my goodness, what else was there?
Well,
and the tape and the tape, the audio
from
tape
Mrs. Couch.
Yeah.
Right.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
In the city council meeting where he where he appointed Jason Dawson to a committee. So those were the main things to show conspiracy. The relationship between Jace and Kimberly Chouch and Isaac Galvan, and then just all the potential ways that they could cheat.
Okay. So it's true. I have a question. You said that this has been like about a 2-year journey. And so in the beginning, we talked about how you were transitioning from being a radio personality and activist, and now you're in electoral politics. What have you learned in the process?
What have I learned in the process? I learned a lot. I've learned a lot. Unfortunately, politics have nothing to do with morals, and has nothing to do with morals. I heard a quote that said, politics makes strange bedfellows. And I didn't understand that until I came across people that really didn't like each other at all, had no interest, had none of the same goals or same interests. However, they met up on one item, and it changed. It put them in bed together. It changed how they move. Uh, I'm not teaming up with a Hitler. I don't care if we both decide we don't like, I don't know, whatever, but that's not going to be my ally because we have a common enemy. My morals don't move like that. So I did learn that politics absolutely makes for strange bedfellows. That was one of the major things I learned, because some of the people that I would have expected to support me in the city, I didn't get public support from. So, and it was because they had other interests. And they claim to be your friend, and it's a couple of politicians, in other cities. I don't have to blast them out, but they got pictures with me at my, when we were like during the campaign where, we were watching the votes come in, and it was looking like I was gonna win. So we're taking pictures together and all that. And they like, all right, man, don't post this picture unless you win. I was like, nigga, I'm deleting this. Bro, I'm just not. I'm not like that.
Right.
So I'm not like that. So the whole thing was, bro, whole thing is, man, politics does make strange bedfellows. And I realized something about me. I'm not compromising myself for anything or anybody. So win, lose, or draw, I'm a win, lose, or draw as who I am, as Dre, and I'm stand on whatever I stand on. And I'm cool with that. And I'm cool with walking away with an L if that's, if it means compromising who I am. So that was probably the biggest lesson I learned in this whole process. Sorry for the long-winded answer.
Oh no, it wasn't long-winded at all. I think, when you're in like a war, or you're like in the thick of things, you don't have time to reflect or really think about what happened, how you see it, how you feel, where you are. So this is probably one of the few perhaps conversations out of a private quarters that you've had where it's, where you're talking about this. You look tired. You look like you've been on a long journey. So,
Yeah,
so I know it, it's just, it made you move a little differently, in your head. And I totally understand that. I know we're going to revisit this incident and even how Compton moves forward, because LA is changing so rapidly. I think the Olympics is in LA. LA will have the Olympics.
It's coming 2 years, I think, from now. I think it's coming 2 years.
2 years or 2028? 2028?
Okay, so
I don't remember.
The World Cup is in 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And then you're right. Yeah.
And
then we get to 2028.
Yeah. So there's so there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of investors going on. And as well, what Dame and I have been talking about, there's a lot of, you said it too, public safety matters that need to be reconciled, and a lot of other issues that citizens are concerned about. And Compton plays a pivotal role in how LA is moving forward. You dropped information that I did not know, that all the stuff that Compton had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I forgot the train runs through Compton. So, or is it through Compton or behind Compton or in the middle of Compton?
We got two of them that runs through the middle of Compton.
Right through.
Actually, it's three, because one of them goes underground. Yeah, we like. I mean, that's taxes. Compton has action at making a pretty penny, just based off of geographic location alone. But a couple of things that I wanted to point out, since I got you guys here, like self-accountability for our people is very, very important. I just want to continue to stress that. And when I say that, going back when we're talking about gentrification, another reason why those types of things happen is because, and I've heard this from several different people, get successful in urban communities, Compton, Watts, all those areas. And as soon as they get successful, they want to leave and go to where they feel success is at, or, and it absolutely makes sense, but no one actually builds up their own community, so instead of us always, trying to like make the dollar and bounce out, we should be trying to build up our communities. Public safety is, to me, it goes back to accountability too. One thing that I've been preaching a lot lately with public safety, and it throws people off because, again, I'm back to self-accountability. Not to say that we don't have other forces against us and that we're not dealing with other forces, but we still have to do what we can do first. Social media is killing us, literally killing us. And I talked to a lot of young people about this. It's a reason why Facebook, Instagram, and all these platforms allow violence on social media platforms. They will allow, the sharing, the liking, the comments of, me beating Dame up, or me robbing you, or kicking over candlelight visuals, or all this disrespectful things that we do in our community, robbing people, shooting, all this stuff. It's us doing it to us, and then it's showed on social media. And once it's on social media, Dame, like anybody else, there's no retracting any of that. There's no forgiveness after that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like a whole nother level of disrespect, and it's just making the cycle continue, and it's reoccurring. But those platforms only let that happen in our communities.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It don't happen in other communities. But then again, it goes back to us putting that out there. Let's be more accountable. Let's be more responsible for the images that we're putting out there. The F the Police campaign. I'm not pro that either. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we do have an issue with police. We know that, but that's not going to go away by saying F the police and not infiltrating that system. We don't teach our kids to become police. We don't even encourage them to want to get into law enforcement. When in actuality, if you raise your son right and you got him into law enforcement, that's somebody good that we got that could help represent for us. But we're on the police campaign, and we don't push for that. These are things that we need to be conscious of. Same thing with as prosecutors and judges. We need people in those positions. Again, going back to self-accountability. We don't push those issues ourselves in our own communities. And these are the things that I'll be wanting to talk about, man, and just make it more aware for our people, period.
Yeah, I appreciate, Dre, your final thoughts. We will talk about that F the Police in another podcast, not this one.
Yeah, of course.
We know LAPD and county sheriffs is a very complicated, racist, thuggish, institution. There was just something that came out about some gangs, of course we know this, but the another emergence of gangs in the LA Sheriff's Department. So even those, there was a kid up the street who lived to be an LAPD officer or a county sheriff. He did all the stuff, the explorer and all this other stuff, and it didn't manifest for him. I don't know exactly why. So I think that there are those who do it, but the institution of law enforcement is very problematic, which I'm happy that Eric Strong is running. But I mean, let's be honest. The police have not been. They've been more of an occupying force for Black Angelenos than anything, and so I'm not absolving the self-accountability, but when you have an institution that's built from the slave trade, absolutely, you still have these residuals and vestiges of it that you've got to work through. So, but I do understand, because I mean, we need to have people who look like us, like I said before, voting people in, having people who have our interest at heart is what is key. And that 360, and what does that look like? 360 degrees. And I do agree, 100%. There's a lot of work internal work.
We know that it was built on racism and built on the slave trade. We're very clear on that. And unless we're going to abolish ourselves with law enforcement as a whole, we have to deal. We have to find some type of common space.
Well, just real quick, Drake, because this is one of the reasons I know Eric Strong. Actually, I'm in the organization with him called Police Against Racism, PAR, and the things that you're talking about, we really get deep and thick into these, and you would be amazed at the amount of reasons they use to disqualify brothers like me and you, or that young kid you said, like one of my guys, actually, he said the only reason he was able to get into the academy, and the training officer, she actually was on the Zoom call this evening. The training officer said they were going to disqualify him just because, he live in 60 neighborhood, he can't go. Like literally going to disqualify him, even though he had great grades, never been in trouble. Like how you said, did the explorer thing and all that. They were going to disqualify him just based on where he lived. Like, he must be from 60s because that's where he lives. And then the black recruiter, and she was the only black recruiter, she said, I'll go and interview him. And that's the only reason he got in the academy. So it's that and a whole plague of other problems why good qualified black candidates don't even make it out the academy. And we'll talk about that on another show. But I just want to.
Yeah, I would love to have those conversations, man, because because I want to be more enlightened. So please, man, if there's a podcast or any conversation coming up in regards to that, I would love to have those conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do here on Arc Republic. Is we definitely are expanding the platform so we could have a plethora of discussions about how we are, reimagining and, participating in our communities, as now we are in the phases and the stages of our lives where, our forebears did the work. Now it is time for us to really, truly establish ourselves, because some of us are taking care of our parents, and then some of us have kids in college, or, so we're in this, and even though I'm not physically in Los Angeles, LA will always be my home. Compton is plays a very pivotal role in me and growing up. As I told Dame, several summers I was in Campanella Park, Rosecrans and Central, as a pool manager, whooping ass. Sit your ass down, so and I live like 7 minutes from Compton. But I want to give the last thoughts to you. There's so many questions I have, but I said this brother is not worn out, he's woe out. I want you to get some sleep. But there's so many questions, because we do need to get to the racial dynamics of Compton and how that shifts, and what does that look like in the electoral politics of it. But as the last thoughts are always, and Dame, I would like to know your thoughts too about this case. I'm just really, the overarching question is that, I see two things. One, let me just say thank you, sir, for motivating and stepping up. Thank you so much. You got locks, you cool, what I'm saying? And that is not an often representation you see in the political structure. Very grounded, very grounded brother. So I want to say thank you so much, because I know it requires a lot of time and energy.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And just on the racial thing, because I wanted to speak on this, because I don't want to let this slide by. The race thing in Compton, you're asking about the racial, statistically speaking, there's a 70% Latino presence.
70,
more like
70. Wow, I didn't know Compton. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. But there is, contrary to popular belief, because, we always get the bad rap, and there is no racial tension here. Of course, you have gangs, and when we're talking about average citizen, there is no racial tension here. There's black and brown rock with each other just as hard. You know what I'm saying? We shop together, we eat together, we hang together. We playing sports together. There's a lot of people kind of like say this is black and brown, it's black versus brown. It's really not. It might be a couple of people that's on that ignorant tip, but generally speaking, in this community, like I have a water store. We sell alkaline water, fresh water. We got sea moss. We got all that stuff. I have so many Latino customers that's just regular Latino, you know what I'm saying? And they come in and show love. I show them. My neighbors
Oh,
obviously are
you
Latino.
went out a little bit, Dre. You went out a little bit.
Okay. How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying that, you know, we're really one here. I think that I'm not sure Dame's experience here with Black and Brown, but generally speaking, man, there is not a Black and Brown issue. The people here in Compton, they do love each other. They do look out for one another, and it's not as dangerous and as ghetto as one would think. You know,
Well, in a 70% Latino Compton, yes, but maybe in a 50-50, I don't know. It wasn't like that when I was working in Compton. I mean, this is something perhaps very recent, but
yeah, it's been
you
like
know,
that for the last 15 years, I believe, where it was like a heavier Latino presence.
right. I mean, there's a social, well, it's not even a social theory, but the working theory is that when you numerically are the dominating population, there's a lot of things that you don't have to worry about because, you know, numerically you dominate, or you don't have to experience it, or you don't have to navigate it. But I'm happy that Compton has that experience, but in the greater Los Angeles area, that is not necessarily the case. Of course, on an everyday humanistic interaction, there's going to be, you know, love or just decency. Like you working class folk trying to get to work, trying to get your kids to school. You know what I mean? You're just trying to navigate the beast of the city. But when it comes to like these economic breakdowns and like who gets the promotions, who you know, occupies important spaces to make the decisions, there's been a lot of tense air, and then tense negotiations. And let's not even forget those years, you know, where they had the edicts, where the Black people were getting, I know a couple of Black people that got picked off in the Black and Latino wars that went on, who were not gangbangers, who were just average everyday folks. But you know, that's my perspective. I haven't lived in LA, admittedly, in 15 years though. But I would say that piece is a result of a lot of fire that happened though in the past. I don't know about you, Dame. What's your?
To Dre's point, the experience that Compton was to me in regards to the racial tensions 15, 20 years ago when I was younger, I don't feel that same kind of, you know, that same kind of thing now. Like when, you know, because back then, like literally you go grocery shopping, you go almost anywhere and it could jump off at any minute. You felt that. It was palpable. It was palpable. And I don't feel that anymore. And it could be, you know, we're older now too. So we don't, you know, we're not in the same circle. But also, just like I said, just where I frequent out here, I haven't felt that.
I still got my eye out.
Of course, always.
I mean,
like this.
you know.
Not like I ain't gonna no, I mean, you know, I have, you know, I have a lot of great conversations, and actually a very good friend of mine, her family, forgot it, several generations in on Compton. And honestly, my cousin is my aunt by marriage is from the Knight family, the Suge Knight family, because we're Mississippi, you know, father's Mississippians and stuff like that. So I've been having these conversations. I always check in with, you know, with Compton, because I've always thought that, you know, the stigma, just the stigma of LA or Black Angelenos in general, that we've had to carry in hip hop, and, you know, and just, you know, when I tell people where I'm from, or, you know, Compton is the boogeyman. But like I said, though, that there's been a lot of tough racial dynamics. And as a reporter in Los Angeles, when I was reporting, there was a lot of issues that were going on in the jails with the race riots. And as it was predicted, things were going to spill out on the streets, which they did. And, you know, for years, there were places where there was a lot of terror, domestic terror that was going on. And also what we know too with the LAPD is that you have a significant Latino representation who actually carry out the bidding of the white power structure. So
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of, there's a lot of nuances we have. And if these are Latino police officers doing that, they're coming from Latino communities. So what is that looking like? But I mean, I know that that's a conversation for another time. I do want you to get some sleep. I want you to get some water, some yoga. Really, that alkaline water, which I will be coming when I come out to LA, I will be right there with my gallon.
Yes, please do. Please do.
I will be
I'm stocking
ready.
up now. I'm stocking it up now. So when you get here, we're gonna have everything. Yeah. So now there was a pending question. I thought you had a pending question for
Final
me.
thoughts are yours. That's it. Final thoughts are yours, sir.
Final. Oh man, final thoughts at this point, man. We talked about a few things. My final thoughts would be that is the reason why I fought so hard in this election and didn't just take my L was because I knew that we were being cheated, and I knew that the fact that we've been working hard to let people know that their vote is important, that their vote should be counted. We've been pushing that for so long, and then to get to the point to where we lose by one vote off of voter fraud, it would, like I said earlier, it would reassure that to some people that their vote didn't matter. So just the reason why I had to go this extra length to make sure that those votes did matter. And I didn't want people to feel that way. So I want to continue to increase the voter turnout, and this was kind of the way that I was going to do that. So yeah, man, it's really for the community. Like my campaign really is for the community. So that is my my final thought, if you will.
Well, I appreciate you, Mr. Andre Hub City Dre Spicer, for talking to Arc Republic. Thank you, Dame, for connecting us. My LA Connect, my West Side homie. I appreciate that. And I do wish you all the best. And I look forward to the follow-up afterwards. And it's just good to see people activated in the electoral political sphere, because all of these people, what we know is a lot of these people are older. It's time for them to go.
Yeah, well, you know.
And we hope not the crook,
you said
but the crook is
right.
Apparently the crook is is bubbling up. So thank you so much. You have a great day, and I foresee very good things that are going on in the city of Compton, because people like you and Brother Dame will be there.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it.